Thank you so much. So first of all, let me set the context of why am I here. I am Akshay. I lead Amazon Future Engineer. For the past 3 years, we've done a lot of work in terms of helping government school kids understand, learn computer science, decipher what career of the future are, and also helped girls to get scholarships, internships in our company and other things. I'm not going to go into that detail, but whatever I'll be talking about is more from that experience point of view. I mean, you've all heard a lot of data points, etc. But let me start from here, okay? How do you and I think about our careers? We are all, a lot of us are young professionals. You're always thinking what's the next move for you, right? So how do you think about your career, right? So first of all is, do you know something exists that you want to be, right? So if you are, say, if you're already teaching or you are in social sector, you're like, oh, this is new sustainability thing that's coming up. What can I do in sustainability? Okay, I can become a sustainability program manager. I can, and how do you know that? Oh, these jobs exist in the world, right? You've seen some post on LinkedIn. You've met somebody who is doing something in sustainability. This looks like an interesting area that I should think about, right? So that, and how do you even, and then you build your will to say, okay, let me think about it, and then you go and search for, oh, what courses should I do, how do I learn, all of that. And then third part is, how do you get access to these jobs, careers, whatever you may, right? Like even if you're an entrepreneur, you'll go and talk to 10 people, say, can you get funding to do something like that, right? And that's probably the access. Think about it for a kid who has very less social capital, the way, say, Peribordo will say, right? Like he doesn't have access to networks. Those networks don't give him or her the support that they would need. So first is, again, will. How do you make sure our kids today know what careers exist today? Like, don't forget future, right? All of us are on apps, right? All of us know there is something called, or maybe we don't, something called user experience. How many of you, or even think about kids, would know there is a job role in companies which designs user experiences? They would not, right? Like when you talk to them, they would probably think, okay, there's some engineer, but they don't know. And they're already interested in like, oh, I know how this works. So that's the will part of it. So first we'll have to demystify these careers for kids. The second part is where you provide access to skills, right? And then career connected skills, so to say, and there are a lot of sessions around that. And how do you build the flywheel of saying, I need to know today what exists and prepare them for today, because you don't know in 5 years, 10 years how will, and then keep rapidly evolving that, right? And the third one is access. Think about somebody who lives in Northeast, does not have money to take a flight, and has to come to Delhi to give an interview. Even if the interviewer pays them ticket journey, they spend 3 to 4 days just doing this journey. And then after that coming back, for 50 days later they are telling, no, you're not selected. So how do you make this access easier for kids again who come with low social capital, so to say? So I think those are the three things, if education system per se, and with other factors and agencies, could bring together and solve for kids. I think that's what is a future-ready education system. And of course, the other thing that we'll talk about a lot, and I did not hear that word a lot since morning, is AI. We are at an inflection point. I think all of you know, the AI automatically is telling you how users are behaving. So now as a UX engineer, you need to know way more skills than you needed to know 3 years back. The way AI is designed, it works a lot on prediction. It was not able to solve math problem earlier. In the last 2 years, AI could get you in top 50 in math Olympiads. The way it's evolving, your skills need to evolve faster. And imagine for kids, right? So that is one inflection point. And of course, the second one is the rapidly changing natural environment, climate, pandemic, a lot of other things. So with all this mix, it is very important to help kids get the will, skill and access. And that's how we look at it. We've been trying to do few things, but I mean, that's what an education system probably should be focused on when it comes to preparing kids for the future.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You have a...
I think this only for recording, they said. I don't know why. Can I use this? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
Better to use the mics.
Better. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Akshay, for setting the context and again making the job easy for me. And thanks to Shalaka and also Shiv and Madhukar for having me second time, same room, but so once again in this wonderful learning platform. At least I have been after a long time sitting quietly listening to various lectures as a very ardent student. Actually, it was wonderful listening to speakers. The challenge is now about future, what is required, has all been told in last 3 to 4 platforms, sessions differently. I can very in a one word conclude saying that AI, equity, all the abstract level concepts and very heavy loads. And by the way, Shalaka also called me a stalwart. I don't know whether she was pulling my leg or really meaning it. I'm simple grassroots guy, so doing my own small research activities, etc. I would put it in a slightly different perspective. I think to be a future ready, we need to be clear about our present. We need to be having a clarity about where we are now. I think there is a saying, so if you don't know history, you can't create history. So one is correct evidence, second is clear vision, third one is convergent efforts. I think these three are critical for us to be a future ready. But let me tell you why I said correct evidence. Until unless we were doing this kind of seeing this data set and doing this study in the field, even I didn't know. I think before NEP, the wonderful act came into gave power of education to all of us is Right to Education Act, right? Okay. Let me test your knowledge. So what is the true reason for having a right to education? Why we had to bring it?
Provide the access to the education from grade age 6 to age 16.
Age 6 to age 16. Okay, wonderful. You made my job easy. 6 to 16 you said. So 6 to 14. Okay. In 6 to 14, so whether children can be failed, not failed, how it's happening? No detention. Fine, right? Objective is good. Like, because if they are failed, they'll get dropped out and they'll not probably continue in education, stay out of it. How about using the same clause for a different reason? See, we were actually trying to understand why some children enroll 10th standard. Normally in the 10th standard they have to face the board examinations. Okay, and out of the people who get enrolled to 10th standard, how many face examinations? How many are not facing examination? And if they are not facing examination, why they are not facing examination? This is something interesting thing we are trying to do study. But at a very preliminary level, the 20% of children who were actually not appeared those examinations were not at all in the education system. I don't know how we can call them, whether we call them as a ghost children or ghost students, etc. See, in this kind of scenario, so we really need to think about our present, have clear understanding about what's happening in the sector to be a future ready. That's my the first understanding. We need to I think though I was saying I'm in the sector and in the grassroots, till recently we are not doing this phenomena is applicable. There are some private school to government school, just for the sake of survival they are creating these children who are not there in the system at all, showing them they are in the system. Some of them, when we went to the field, were married, never attended school. So this is the kind of evidences and the numbers we have, and we celebrate our GR and etc. That's another thing actually. So that is one. And secondly, so ultimately we all do all these exercises, education, health, etc. to see for the sake of development. And development is, I consider, as an impact of education. It's a long way to go. But before that, there is something called intermediate, immediate outcome. So education at least translate into the increased engagement of children. So when at least when they attain adolescent stage or youthhood, they should increasingly participate at least. The first level of development to bring in development is to engage actually. But if you look at the current recent youth development index of our country, I think that doesn't give a confidence. So it's 0.4 and 0.1 is the civic engagement index and political engagement index amongst youth of our country, and from there to go to development is a long way. So very quickly to summarize, what we probably need is, of course we have discussed enough about 21st century skills. We also need teachers equipped to blend 21st century skills in their teaching. I am of the view that 21st century skills should not be or probably need not be taught separately, exclusively. It has to be intertwined with the pedagogy what we have, the activities what we need to do in the school education, that should be required to be aligned with that. And second thing is, the teachers equipped for reflection and for carrying out action research to enhance their teaching learning processes. But I was wondering, like action research is inbuilt into teachers actually curriculum, the teaching, the training they go through. I try to see that. But after they pass out their B.Ed, Bachelor's in Education or Diploma in Education, they seldom understand the true reason and meaning of the action research. So unless and until teachers become action researchers, so they cannot bring the change and move towards more participatory and facilitative pedagogy. See, when we try to kind of do a no school bag day program in Karnataka. In fact, government asked me to develop a concept for doing no school bag day, something differently. Then they came, the teachers came, we wanted to experiment. So then what is our role in the entire process? I said there is no role. You should not do any role. That's the no bag day. If you start again coming back, but they are not ready to understand. So we need to take them to the facilitative role. That's what, like in the morning I was hearing from one of the panelists saying that somebody from the Finland was saying, okay, children have the potential. And that's what Vivekananda said centuries ago. Education is all about the manifestation of the perfection already in the child. So when we only hear it from probably Finland, we'll understand much better. Yeah, that's where I stop here. These are all the fundamental things we need to get correct to go to the future.
Wonderful. I think both the answers sort of have set the right tone. I want to proceed with the capacity building perspective, especially to Dr. Vasavaraj, because capacity building is an instrumental part in making the students future ready, right? So can you shed a light on specifically the challenges? Because I think in your earlier answer you spoke about the 3 key points that can make education future ready. Just a small part from that about...
when you mean capacity building, it's about teachers' capacity building or children's capacity?
Both in fact, because considering what you mentioned right now, it can't function if only one focus on that.
In my understanding, one is, I always think, in fact, I was very glad to hear in Maharashtra, Madam was telling in the morning, there is teachers associations have formed some associations and take care of their own learning and understanding. I was always thinking, when doctors can have their own CME, continued medical education, why CTE is not there, continued teacher education? The associations we have everywhere, but associations are meant to be taking care of the rights of the teachers to their perks, privileges, fight against government, etc. I have not seen many teachers association, at least in my vicinity, block level, district level, doing something continued teacher education. I think that's something, as a system we may need to think. See, because I think when all of us were asked to go to school, probably the way we learn there and the way we are probably learning in these kind of conferences is absolutely different. Because here we have come for our own purpose, it's our only self-motivation. There it is kind of we are made to go. And similarly, there are continuous training opportunities for teachers, especially for the government teachers. Of course, it's good to, let's say, about private teachers. I don't know what opportunities are available for private teachers, but at least government, they have something. But I know how they attend those training programs also. But there has to be this self-driven programs in the system, like something like a CTE. And second thing is, Mostly my work is in skill and education. Actually, I work with the skill development agencies, etc. I see a lot of disconnect between industry and academia. That's we have been discussing, but somehow we are not solving that issue. So that's something, because training is not just, or capacity building is not just through classroom education. You need exposures. You need to see, understand practically what's there in the world, so that I can equip my children in the classes. So that's something is missing. And third is, of course, the age-old issue, the resistance to change. That's something we need to. I think the biggest example we can all remember is Nali Kali. How the Nali Kali was a fascinating model, but it in a way failed. In my understanding, none of the teachers talked good about that program. Most of the teachers, I should not say none of the teachers, most of the teachers whomever with I have interacted. So they did it because government enforced it, then that's how it is actually. Nali Kali, it's failed because of the resistance to change, and we couldn't manage the change process. Capacity building, make that empty, that's something we need to think. And of course, it's need to be aligned to their learning outcome of children. Coming to the children, my single observation is the diverse environment they come from actually, at least the children I work with. I tell you, I was doing a field study in one of the places called Devegowda Nagar. It is named after our former Prime Minister in Hassan district. So when we went to the children's houses, maximum it was a 10 by 15, 10 by 10 kind of houses, wherein children would see everything and inevitably have to see everything in their eyes. And that made us to think about a program called Sandhya Shale, in the program Sugamya Shiksha, what we kind of initiated in Karnataka, to keep the children, at least those kind of children, between 4 to 6 o'clock in the school premises, and do additional FLN activities and other required exposures in that school. I think that is adversities they come from. The engagement, that's something it's bothering. And of course, the peer learning, again we lost that opportunity. Had we continued with Nali Kali, other things, so we can make children to be a self-learner, and some of the bright students could manage their other teachers, other students' learning processes, etc. This is what I see.
Thank you for highlighting the challenges. I would like to go to Akshay now to speak specifically about the capacity building focusing on digital, right? Because that is one thing which we also found in our SEL report, that digital literacy is still, okay, we say AI, I mean the entire conference is also being recorded using AI tools, right? But still when we speak of certain sectors, certain schools, certain areas, it's still not percolated to that level. So
okay, I'll pick up a few things what you're saying, but okay, let's do a story. Okay, this fair, we all, a lot of folks from LFE also, we met in a state level hackathon where LFE and us had done first of all district level hackathon and then state level hackathon. I'll go their story later, but let me tell you about this teacher whom I met. So this was two teachers I'll talk to you about. One was this male teacher who was from, I think, Ahmednagar district, far away, Zilla Parishad school. And he came to me and said, sir, because I don't speak Marathi, so he said in Hindi, कि सर आपने जब पहला कंप्यूटर साइंस ट्रेनिंग एक्सीलेंस प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया था, तब आपने बोला था कि हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जो भी टीचर्स जो भी जीतेंगे उनको उनके यहाँ आप लैब लगवाओगे. तो मैंने उसी दिन सोच लिया था कि मुझे हाईएस्ट लाना है उस कंपटीशन में, एंड मैं लाया. एंड देन ही वाज शोइंग मी पिक्चर्स ऑफ this room that was not there, and then he got the computer sport, and then government, the village came together to put all the furniture and all. And then he said कि सर जब आपने ये बोला कि अब हम बच्चों के लिए करेंगे और जो बच्चे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में टॉप आएंगे उन्हें आप पुणे ले जाओगे, अपने ऑफिस में 3 दिन हैकाथॉन कराओगे, तो मैंने उसी दिन सोच लिया था कि मेरे बच्चों को फर्स्ट आना है. एंड ही वॉज देयर एंड ही won second award that day. So, and this was all because there was a simple thing about one, we keep talking about capacity building. I want to focus on giving opportunity. See, like we are all human beings, right? We don't want somebody to come and say, "Aa jao, main tumhari capacity build karta hu." Right? What do we want? We want to, all of us want more options, right? Like you go on Amazon and search, like ये वाला अच्छा नहीं, ये हानि नहीं चाहिए, ये वाला, हाँ इस आटे में ज़्यादा अच्छा नहीं है, दूसरा लेते हैं. We all want options in life, right? So we want to we should start giving teachers, we should start treating teachers also as humans and giving them more and more options in life, give them options to do what they want. And I think this is exactly what we did with this program that we did with LFP. It was a voluntary enrollment to a computer science training program. And we had more enrollments than we could cater to. So it's not about, I also feel like people want to do what they want to do. And you have to create more options. And the way we say, like, all this, we want to do small learning for kids, okay, why should everybody be studying science? Can we break down science into many more things and let kids choose? Same way, right? Let teachers also choose. And make it interesting, make it worth their while, make it, and I've seen my entire notion of government teachers, will they learn or not, completely changed. So I think it is a higher likelihood of most careers being STEM. Is there a change in terms of more people opting from STEM? Is there a change in terms of them really taking some tangible step, right? Like, so I met this other from Maharashtra again, a girl who was in Commerce 11th, and she came to a robotics lab, and I was just meeting her, and then she said, I dropped out of Commerce this year. I was like, why? Because I started coming here and looked at this robotics. I was never introduced. Now I really don't want to do commerce anymore. I want to go back into engineering. And she had like in mind, like I want to become a prototype modeling engineer, right? So specific. But that's like she's taken some specific step towards her journey. Once she does that, you and I can't stop her. I mean, she would go strong at it. So I think one is of course from an educational point of view, looking at these evaluations and all of that. Very important to figure out how what we are delivering is getting across. But from a career readiness, it's all proof in the pudding itself, right? So are they really increasing their intent to do something post what you've said? And are they taking tangible steps to get there? Is very important from looking at it from a careers of the future perspective.
Right. So thank you for your inputs about the assessment for students, right? I'm also thinking of how can we diversify the assessments for teachers' future readiness. So there, because after this, the last question is going to be about what should be our priority, what we have done, and what we need to do now. Because we need, at least for this panel discussion, some clarity about what is the takeaway, right? So from teachers, future readiness as well, how are we measuring it right now, and what kind of changes could be done if you have any ideas?
I mean, very simple. I think the way we should, again, to my mind, is very simple. The way we treat teachers is the way we would teach any other career professional, right? It's a career, it's a high effort career. It takes a lot to be a teacher. I've tried teaching, it is super difficult, right? Like to control, and a lot of you must be teachers who've done this before. I find it extremely difficult to engage with the 30 kids in a classroom who are 5-6 years old and writing my doing my Kanban boards or whatever. So I think we have to teach them as career professional and look at it again from the same lens you look at anyone else, right? Are they being one is all about being effective in a classroom and curriculum and pedagogy we've been doing for a long time. But are they really bringing new thoughts to the classroom? Are they really going out and seeking new opportunities for their kids? I think those are new parameters we need to add, and maybe not again assess them so much, but provide that. And the other thing is I feel like we have hundreds and thousands of teachers in this country, right? Even if 1%, 5% start doing that, I think that's the change. So we can always keep doing our evaluations, but also look at how they are adapting to new things that are coming in, right? How are they adapting to AI, how they are using it effectively in their classroom, how they are using the tools of tomorrow, so to say, right? Like, this block-based programming and then getting back into their classroom and telling to a kid, say, don't draw photosynthesis on a paper, go and make a scratch project about it, which I've seen, like that's happened, like, so they're changing the entire medium of expression itself. And I think those are the things we'll have to keep looking at for adding new things in terms of the careers of the future. Yeah.
So I think this should also be a part of the teacher training itself, right? So bringing in the new perspective and bringing in.
It should be, and I think those are the things we'll have to focus on now, because like I said, information synthesis, right? Like information was already easy, synthesis they can do very easily with AI and all of that. So we are in a, I mean, if you look at probably West and all, there's a lot of, what I say, resistance, because, they're like, teachers are like, kids are using AI to do exam and all of that also. But I think we'll have to use it as an enabler. We like it, we don't like it, it's here, and it's here to stay, right? So how can we help them understand it better, use it for their day-to-day, making their life easier. I mean, a lot of you talked about government school teachers being put into administrative jobs and all of that. Can that administrative job be made easier using the tools of today, so that they can focus more on doing what they really need to do? And that's what we need to also help them understand. I think, yeah.
I don't know. I think it opens a new Pandora's box if you just start to assess teachers. Say that you will bring in new assessment metric for teachers assessment. I don't know, many other professionals also it's failed. But probably I think one new learning probably we can think of is, say, what Mission Karma Yogi is doing in India currently. See, they have at least established a competence metric, clear competence map, and as well as milestones for various cadres in India. And simply thing is, it's not assessment. Basically, if you want to graduate from one cadre to other cadre, now you need to take a course on IGOT, you need to take a course on something else, and then move forward. Similarly, so I think we need to create, rather than think about assessment for teachers, I'm not against assessment of teachers, but I'm thinking practically, put it positively, how you can go step by step, but in order to go step by step, they also have a 2 years, 3 years, increments, other modules available. So you come attain this competency, check this, go and achieve this. That's something we may think of.
Right. I think that approach will also show that they are already at some level. They want to become better from what they are, rather than, because assessment means that we usually take it more pessimistically. Right? So very last question. So what should be our priority? What should be our next steps when it comes to the future readiness, specifically from the education system perspective?
Okay, I am all for at least primary and secondary education should be in the public domain. Yeah. So that should not. I'm the strong believer and advocate of that. If that is required to be there, because unfortunately we are not. The situation is completely reverse. I think in the earlier panel I was also listening, more teachers are there, like increasingly in private sector, etc. We are seeing that in our own current report, what the study on SSA we did, we are seeing that enrollment to secondary schooling in public sector is increasing, but schools are decreasing. I'm talking about public schooling system. So this is something worrisome actually. So we need to bring perception about the public education system required to be changed. See, if the perception, if the branding about understanding about people's perception about public education system is changed, so it starts from there. So if you say that it is good, then you try to be good and try to ensure that continuously. And second thing is, of course, we need to work a lot about bringing equity in education. We are not even touched many such important issues. Children are there at various learning level. Take about children with CWSN, we call children with special needs. Just a sham. The program what we have is just a sham what we have in there actually. So equity, unless that is brought in, we can't think about the future. And third is of course the quality in education is, needless to say, it is important. We need to, it's a continuous process. And dignity of educators. I think that's something I would say more important. How do you make teachers in India, especially at the primary and secondary level, to feel that, bring that proudness in them actually? In fact, in many, only the teachers in college and other education level get an opportunity like this to come and probably share their thoughts, present their papers, etc. But out there, a lot of talented teachers, they can do this, but there are no platforms for them. So, but there are a lot of other ways, not just financially, but you bring in, make that cadre to feel that proud. Unless they enjoy the dignity, they enjoy that proudness, things are not going to change actually. And for lastly, the engagement of community as a stakeholder. That's an important bit, I would say. See, government alone cannot do this. And if you see, ask anybody from villages why schools established, why education thrived, it is not because of government, it is because of the poor farmers, philanthropists in the villages who donated their land, who helped to build schools actually. So gave lands to governments in many villages actually. So if they could do, when all these concepts, principles and this evolved thinking was not there, if it really engage them, so they can really act as a catalyst to ensure all of this in school. In fact, we have done that. If you one SDMC is strengthened, SMC or SDMC, so how they can really play the role of a catalyst in school. That's kind of a sustainable model we need to think. I think that's my thought for to future. Thank you.
Okay, I think you covered a lot of important points about equity, and I think those are important, like most important things that of course we need to keep doing. I think I'll just add one or two more perspectives to that rather than, so I think you only mentioned about exposure that students need to work, to what's happening in the world. So I'll go back to my same thought process that while we do that, which is I think while we work on the fundamentals of getting them the right foundation, literacy, numeracy, all that we've been working on, and like just making the education system better, which I feel is a never-ending process because we always need to keep doing better. At the same time, because of the inflection point I mentioned, I think we also need to actively start thinking about how will this is a flying ship, so we have to sort of, I would not say repair, but probably like enhance it to 10x the jet fuel or whatever at the same time. So how do you actively look at this education system also dealing with the changes that's happening due to all the advents in the technology? How do you look at it from a marginalization perspective? Because you're talking about public school versus private school. People who have access or their parents are in good companies, they talk to their cousins who are already in great places, they have computers at home, so they are moving faster. So is that, and for somebody who comes from government school, probably doesn't have that kind of access, is that access gap widening more and more while we keep, because we are not working on access to what's changing out there? So I feel that's the other thing that the education system has to fast adapt to while it keeps building. So I think the problem has gotten more complicated. But I think we could also solve it faster if we use tech as a support and and other opportunities and challenges at the same time. So yes, keep building that ship that you are repairing, but just supercharge it now with whatever fuel there is, and get in more and more partnerships between government education systems and the industry out there, and actively both have to actively see. I feel the government has to actively see also, because there is this mindset within like folks that if we approach, even like why are we even going there? Is somebody going to listen to us also or not? So I think the पहल उस तरफ से होनी शुरू होनी और बढ़नी चाहिए. Although in the past 3 years we found it like a lot of opportunities to work with government and always found great champions, but that has to just again go 10x now. So that would be my addition to what Basaraj is saying.
Fantastic. Right, just to wrap up, last 2 minutes we have. In fact, yeah, we are 2 minutes more than what we are supposed to. But anyway, I think 2 very important things to take away from what Akshay spoke. I really like them. It's will, skill, access, which needs to be focused. And also giving opportunity is sometimes more important than capacity building. The way capacity building is viewed, I think he was also sort of critiquing that, saying that it's not about, I will build your capacity, it's more about also creating that motivation to build yourself, right? Otherwise, I mean, also in psychology and counseling, we say that counseling can work only if the counselee wants it, right? It doesn't work otherwise. I think also from what Vasaraj mentioned, very important aspects, dignity of educators. I think this also came up in the earlier panel discussions where we talked about teachers' beliefs, we talked about giving respect to teachers, and in fact teachers respecting themselves as well. Right? So I think that again is highlighted here. What he also underscored is involving the community, and I think Akshay also ended saying that it's a role of all stakeholders. I mean, we're talking about students on one hand, teachers on the other hand, but the community, parents, we have not spoken about parents yet, but their role in developing children and building their capacities, because kids are in schools for a certain period of time, right? Sure. Apart from the after school activities, but home is also where a lot of organic learning happens for kids. And another important aspect was about participative pedagogy, which could be seen as an important area for the teachers to improve, which would also engage students in the right way. Right? So thank you very much both of you to sort of uncover the important aspects. We can take maybe 1 or 2 questions. Do we have time? No? But there's already a hand. 2 hands, 3 hands, 4.
Yes.
Okay, short questions there.
Do you want this?
Thank you for that, keeping that as a topic. And so when it's about future readiness, I also was thinking that somewhere the idea of curriculum did not surface in this talk, and that's a missing link, because how do you, I mean, I understand that talking about careers is important, but we with Delhi government work, so I'm Richa, I'm with CET, and we have developed a curriculum called World of Work. So I invite you all to discuss about it with me, because we feel that we have really, imagined, and we have, in a way, now working with an idea. We're bringing the idea of workspace to the classroom with something called workbench pedagogy. So, that where I think the implementation, the imagination gets actualized. So that second, somewhere in our future readiness, and which is, of course, with the correct mindset, that we're thinking of the marginalized, the underprivileged. But when I'm saying future readiness, it has to be a collective. So what is it that the haves, the privileged ones are missing in their education, which creates a disjunct of a kind, which will really not allow us to be future ready in the real sense. So, our manufactured pockets of liberal education spaces, which are coming up at a fast pace, what is it that they are missing in their education is also has to be discussed if we're discussing about a collective future in terms of being future readiness, because that's also important. Thank you.
I can take it.
Right, so the next speaker is already heard, so we can't take questions, but we have tomorrow and we have also the evening. So please save your questions and then catch us, and we'll try to answer those questions. Thank you very much for being such an engaged audience. We could have a good eye contact, because sometimes with the devices that's also something difficult to expect, but it was really nice. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.